All right, clap. Hi, babies. Jackson, stop. Okay, so let's get our yoga mats or get situated if you're not using a yoga mat. And then, so knees, inner thighs, and mobility. Let's start with, what do you call it? Groin flossing. So there's shoulder flossing and groin flossing. As a matter of fact, I will use my sweatshirt, but grab a towel or a strap or something that you can pull on. Sorry, I probably should have said that at the beginning. List of things we'll need. But I have this, so let me roll around. Steve, do you not want to go outside? Okay. I have my hoodie, and I'm going to have my heels in, my toes out, and so the movement is going to be to pull apart and bring my arms down and behind me and up. Jackson, stop it. Jackson, stop. Come on, you're on camera. So if I can't move my arms back and forth without doing something, for fuck's sake, stop it. Without doing something funky in my shoulders, like I have to do like one and then the other, then I need to take more space, right? I need to have more surface area. So I can go back and forward. Don't let your rib cage move for you, right? Because the ribs, if you're moving the ribs in order to get your arms back and forth, then it's really not shoulder mobility. You're actually just exploiting the movement that the rib cage and the back allows. So try to temper that if you can. And now this sweater, that sweatshirt's not good for this. There you go. I'll use mine and not my husband's, right? And now we're going to pair that with a squat. So when I have my heels in, toes out, I'm going to squat, come down, lift, come up. Squat, come down, lift, come up, right? And don't force the issue, right? I'm pulling apart on my, I have a hoodie, so there's some elasticity. If you only have a yoga belt or a regular belt or a towel, and you don't have that same kind of pull, make sure that you have enough space. I'd rather have more space and less sensation than less space with a lot of sensation in my shoulders, right? Especially if it's in the morning, right? Okay, we're gonna do that one more time. And now we're gonna play with it. So my arm's gonna come up. I'm gonna pull my left arm forward, reach my left arm back, or my right arm back as I twist in my squat. Bring it center, pull my right arm forward, take my left arm back, and twist and center, right? So it's a pull back. And you can be a little bit like creative with this. Like if you'll see, I'm just gonna kneel so you guys can see what I'm doing with my arms, right? I'm gonna pull and I'm gonna take it into like this kind of a movement, right? And then as I squat, right? So, and if it feels good to do something else, play with it, right? As long as we're mobilizing through our chest and our shoulders. So, hi, Steve. Hi, buddy. Right. One more. Good. And then from here, have your, whatever it is that you're using, available, but you're just gonna lay it to the side, okay? So if you're on your yoga mat, come to the front of your mat, and here's our groin salutations. So, inhale, reach your arms up, palms to the sky. So I interlace my hands, and I'm opening, you know how we talked yesterday about opening the soles of the feet? Same thing here, palms of the hands. And I exhale, I bring my palms down, my hips back, my head forward, right? We did this yesterday. Plant your hands, inhale, step your right foot back, keep your left leg wide, open up and twist. Shoulders down, necks relaxed. Work that hand to the back and then press the back of the hand posteriorly. So I'm pressing the back of my hand towards you guys, opening the chest, reach my fingers. Good. Hand comes down to the inside of my foot. I'm gonna drop my knee, my back knee, my right knee. And now I'm just gonna wiggle a little bit side to side. And I love this feeling because I have really tight hip flexors and tight quadriceps. And so this just starts to open me up a little more completely, right? And I'm allowing, I'll show you this way. Steve, come here, babe, come up. Or just stay there, whatever, do what you want. So if you can see, like, my knees going out and in, my hips are moving side to side. So me positioning my body kind of rolling over the joints, I'm feeling those muscles open with my body in that same way. And then what happens is I'm able to, baby, what's going on? You're so stoic. I'm able to get more of a feeling of range, more complicity with my tight tissues, which makes me a better person, better wife. Inhale. Now from here, instead of going into down dog, straight from the side, I'm going to tuck my right toes. I'm going to turn my heel in. And now I'm going to move from like one. And so an Ashkenazi, no, that's not Skandasana. I forget, my Sanskrit is terrible. But Skandasana, I think. I'm going to just transfer my weight, keeping my hips really low, right? Side to side. And I know these yogis, and they're so graceful, right? They can just come right up and their heels down. They have that flexibility. I don't have it. I'm one of the least flexible yogis I know. But I still want to keep, as best as I can, my pelvis low so that even if I don't have the mobility and the flexibility to ground through my heel and to keep that uprightness, doesn't mean I don't want to have that load and direct the opening into my pelvis by keeping it low, rather than, right, coming up and then down. So instead of settling from coming up and down, keep the load in the hips, right? And then think of, and Beth, you've got a lot of good mobility, but I want to try to get the heel, it's not going to in my body, but I want to work that heel down because I'm trying to open through my ankles as well as my hips and soles of feet. One more side to side. Steve, come here. What's up? Come here. I'm not yelling at you. I'm talking to the people. Good. And now this time we're going to face the back of our mat. I love you. Oh. And the same thing, right? The knees down, the foot, the hands are in between, and the inside of the right foot. I'm going to tuck my toe, reach my knee back, or reach my knee up, my heel back, and open into my twist. Shoulder down. The more your shoulders come down, away from your neck, the more rotation is going to make itself available, right? And take it down, release your knee, untuck your toes. And again, I'm just going to roll side to side, right? Good, one more breath. And this time, instead of coming into our wide squat, I'm going to turn my left foot in, bring my right knee in, and I'm going to take myself down. I'm going to come forward and back and just saw my torso back and forth through frog position. And I'm not moving ballistically, right? I'm not bouncing. I'm easing my hips back and coming forward. My butt is lifted, so my pelvis is in an anterior tilt. So my booty is perky, like really perky. Right, so play with that. Now, I want you to draw a tiny circle with your tailbone. Ugh. Good. And then reverse that direction. And if the circle doesn't work, right, think of drawing a diamond. That can be more effective for some people if they don't have that openness. And then from here, and you're probably off your yoga mat, don't worry about it. As long as it's your floor, it's probably fine. I'm not already calling myself out of it because getting out of frog is the worst feeling. Ugh. And now I'm going to keep my feet match distance apart, so a little wider than hips. Scoot myself down so you guys can see me. One of my hands wide, right? So thumbs are a little bit below the nipple line, elbows are wide. And I'm gonna press into my right hand. I'm gonna look right and exhale down. Press into my left hand, I'm gonna look left. And release down. And remember, shoulders away from the ears. So get your neck as long as possible, because when your shoulders are away from your ears, you have more range of motion and rotation. And if you don't believe me, hike your shoulders up, see how much more rotation you have, versus when you take them down, oh my gosh, the world looks brighter. One more time. So thoracic extension and rotation together at last. Good. Oh, this feels divine. Good. And then from here, hands come more central, like chaturanga style. Press back into your wide-legged child's pose. And then with your forehead down, if you can get it done, if you need a prop, prop it up. But just roll. Roll side to side. And then round up. You can take a couple cat cows or just kind of mix it up. Do a little shoulder to hip. Do that. And then tuck your toes. And then let's make our way to a downward facing dog, wherever your mat is at this point. I don't have my legs on this carpet. So my mat is everywhere. Draw your shoulders down. Have your ears in line with your biceps rather than hanging out. So you have a little bit of muscular tension in the upper back, right? Proper tension, not sad tension. From here, we'll start with the right leg. I'm going to lift my right leg up, but I want to keep the hips square. So think, and what happens a lot is this. So think of reaching your left sits bone back. And what's going to happen, you'll feel that at the waistline, most likely. That bend your knee. Don't change the hips, just lift your leg, lift your heel up. So extension, not rotation, extension, not rotation. Good. Now from here, from your knee, think your knee is elevated. So this would be my hip. See how much more movement I have? This is controlled from my knee. See how much more restriction I have? Now I'm going to keep pressing my left ball of foot down, pressing it down, pressing it down, pressing it down. Oh my gosh. Now I'm going to open my hip. Good. I'm going to reach it down. Pedal out my knees. And then however I want to get there, I'll step my right foot forward. Press down to your right foot. Press the ball of your left foot down. Plug your left leg into your hip to get the right sits bone back. And then I'm going to lift up. Think of pulling your right femur away from the knee, right? And then the goal that I always have in my lunges or in any yoga is that like I'm buoyant, right? Because if I feel like I'm stuck, like if I feel like I'm really like cement, then there's no energy. And if there's no energy or prana or chi or whatever, then I'm just kind of reinforcing the dogma and the sadness of my situation, right? So again, I want to feel nice and light. I'm going to interlace my hands, reach my arms up, not my ribs. My ribs are back, my jaw goes back, and then I'm going to reach the palms back. And then open, right? Pull the elbows down like a lat pull. Get your elbows low. And exhale, hands come down. Step back into your plank position. And you can either, I like to just sometimes do a push-up instead of doing your chaturanga. But if you want to do chaturanga, go for it. If you want to lower all the way down and come into your cobra, do that. Otherwise, you want to go outside, huh? Okay. Otherwise, take whatever variation you want. We'll meet back in downward facing dog. And then from here, right? Jackson, figure it out. Left leg is going to come up. Remember, left leg comes up. So the thigh is moving in the hip. The pelvis isn't moving. Reach your right sits bone back until you feel your waistline engaged. Now from here, bend your knee. Press your foot towards the ceiling. Don't open the hip. press your right foot down. Now, you're gonna open your left knee. Feel that work at the glute knee. Don't use the hip. Press the right foot down, lift a little higher. Be a little higher. Now open the hip. Ah. Good. And then from there, bring that foot down, reset, and then step your left foot through. Right thigh pulls into the hip. So feel that. Literally suck that thigh bone into the hip until it pulls you a little bit more on the ball of the foot and less like towards the arch. Press down to lift up. And now here, pull your thigh back. So you're not here, right? Because the job of the patella is to keep the femur from just moving outside the body, right? So let's not exacerbate it. Steve, come here. Sorry about that. Thigh pulls back. You're getting into your glute more, right? Let's all just stay inside and stop working. So with that said, are we buoyant? Feel for that, right? Give yourself like a couple moves. And if you feel rigid, do something to fix it, right? Pulling the thighs towards the hips helps to bring the energy into those buoyancy muscles and out of the knees or the ankles or the hip flexors. Opposite thumb on top, ribs back, jaw back, palms up. And then from the palms, pull the navel in and up. Take the jaw back, inhale, open from the body. Pull down on that lat pull, right? Like the bar at the gym. And then take your hands down. And again, hold your plank. Option to do what you want, right? If you're doing your vinyasas, your chaturangas, reach your inner heels back, ribs back, jaw back, gaze up. Exhale, drop the chin, and then pull from the belly to take it back to downward facing dog. Inhale, exhale, step or hop your way to seated. Take your yoga belt or my sweatshirt, whatever you have available, right? From here, I'm going to take it into the ball of my right foot. Press up with the big toe mount. Inhale, I'm going to slide my left leg long, but I'm pulling the thigh into my hip. So check in with your body. Your sits bones should be even rather than like in a torqued position. Inhale. As you exhale, use your hamstring to press into the strap and then lift yourself up. Like all the way up. Use that to draw my shoulder blades together. Transfer the belt into your left hand and rotate towards the right. Shoulders down. Remember, if my shoulders are here, I'm not going to rotate. Shoulders down. Now I'm going to keep that rotation. I'm going to lift my right leg again. Inhale. Exhale, bring it back. Lower it down. And then stretch the leg back, stretch the hip forward. Bend the knee, and then take it a little further. Remove said rope, and then place it on the left foot. I'm starting with my right knee bent over the floor. I'm going to pull the thigh in, and as I reach the leg out. So there's tone, you have feeling. Use the hamstring of your left leg, press into your strap. Inhale, lengthen, exhale, nod, and then lift. Up to seated. Strap comes into the opposite hand. Shoulders down, return from the waist. One more breath. Bring it back. Slowly lower, right? You're still pulling that right thigh into the hip. And now I'm going to keep the hip reaching forward as I pull the leg and foot towards me. Bend the knee a little bit. And then try to press a little further into that stretch. And then release. Good. Inhale, we'll do a roll up to come up. Fold forward. And then we're gonna cross our feet and step or hop yourself back, vinyasa or skip it. We'll meet in a downward facing dog. Alrighty. So from here, I'll start with my left leg just so you can see because I'm facing that way. I'm gonna lift my left leg up. Again, I'm keeping my pelvis as still as possible. Think of your right sits bone. Don't move your right sits bone. Bend like we did, right? So yoga by numbers. Extend, lift your heel, don't open your hip. Now lift your knee, then open your hip. Then I'm pressing into my right foot, my right hand. I'm gonna come over, and I'm gonna reach. And if you don't like flipping your dog, you don't, it's fine. Make sure you're taking deep breaths, right? You're not holding your breath. Good, from there, I'm gonna come back around. And now I'm gonna take that left foot. I'm gonna bring the knee in between my hands, extend that left foot towards the right side of my mat. And then I'm gonna take this little cross split. I'm just gonna move my pelvis down, looking to the right, and up, looking to the left. And from this front, it looks like this. Right. One more. Bring it back in, down dog, wide-legged child's pose. Roll it out or move it out. What's up? One more. Then outside. You wanna be outside? Okay. Oh, it's so finicky. One more breath. And then bring yourself back to your downward facing dog. Do it this way so you guys can see. This time. So think of where your left sits bone is in place. Mine's on your left sits bone. Don't change it. Lift your right leg. Bend your right knee. Lift your right foot. Now open your right knee. Try to move your hips minimally. Now open the hip. And then again, it's like you're in the Matrix, right? So as you flip your dog, right, you're like dodging bullets like Keanu. So super slow. And to come up, right? Use your obliques. Don't use gravity. Gravity's always there for you, right? Bring that, you're fine. Bring your knee in between your nose. Take the leg off to the left. Drop my hip. And look, Jack, love of Christ. Jackson, come here. And I'm gonna look towards my left. And I'm gonna lift my hip and look towards my right. Right, so I'm just dropping and moving. And I'm not doing it. So here's the thing with like yoga or Pilates or anything. It's not willy-nilly, right? You're thinking about it, right? You're feeling your body. You're present, right? It's not like when Adam and I are sat on the couch watching a movie and I'm just scrolling through Instagram because I have no attention span. It's the complete opposite. And then again, bring it back, find your child's pose, wide child's pose. Wide so that we're opening the hips and we're not going into a kyphosis with our lower back. And then bring yourself up. And then from here, Jackson, come, stay out. From here, I'm gonna have, so I'm not going to camel. I'm not going to camel, right? Just let's preface that. My knees are gonna walk this, or I'm gonna walk, they're not gonna walk themselves. I'm gonna walk my knees in, and I wanna internally rotate my thighs so that, let's play with this, right? So this is extra rotation, see how it flattens my butt, right? I'm gonna internally rotate my thighs. So you'll see that that puts my pelvis in an anterior tilt slightly, and I'm gonna keep that slight anterior tilt. I'm gonna draw the back of my hands, press against, right? So palms facing out, back of my hands pressing in. I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna rotate my shoulders up and back. And as I do that, what's happening? The elbows are coming in, right? And now I'm gonna slide down. You can interlace here if you like. And now from here, ribs back, jaw back, press your knuckles away from your body as you look up. And breathe. Right, so it's not a full camel. You're not here. But I might say it's a little harder, right? Inhale. Good. Exhale. Release and sit. And do a little tick-tock with your pelvis side to side. Steve has no idea that I'm talking to you guys. He just looks at me worried like I'm yelling at him. So from here, we're going to take it into our down dog. Pedal out. Maybe come forward and back a few times. Right? Whatever feels good. I think of it like you're changing out of like a sweaty sports bra, right? You kind of have to wriggle yourself free. And then hands and feet together, roll yourself up. And then we're just going to do a external rotation. Right? So our abducted poses, our external rotation poses. So I'm just going to go right, parallel the feet, turn out left, and then parallel the feet, right? So it's like I'm just flirting, I'm playing the field with my warrior twos, right? How's that warrior two feel? How about that guy, right? I'll have to let Jackson back in. In and out, in and out. There. Let's stay inside and not sexually aggress each other. All right, so let's land on the right side. So slightly internally rotate your left leg. Think left heel or left ankle bone that way, right? Left thigh bone this way. And then rotate. I like to have a little internal rotation, right? So again, think Kung Fu. Kung Fu, you're not here. There's just a slight internal rotation. So you're just slightly pigeon-toed. One is going to help protect your knee, because if you come into this pose, warrior two, and you don't have an openness in your hip or in your knee or in your ankle, what are you doing? You're pushing your femur forward into the soft tissue, and that's doing yourself no favors. So I'd rather slightly internally rotate my foot just a little bit, and that will give me the openness I want, and it feels happy, right? Press your feet. Think shins away, thighs together. Shins away, thighs together. And you'll get a lot of inner thigh here, right? So hopefully you're feeling a lot more through the bottom leg. But now again, right, if it's all just culminating into the quad, how do you send that energy back? Press into your feet. We did this yesterday. Breathe through your feet. And again, are you buoyant, right? Could you stay here for a non-disclosed amount of time? Interlace your hands or your fingers. Pull your elbows together or your shoulders together. Reach your elbows out. And then from there, turn your head. Sometimes I like to turn my head back and forth. I have a lot of neck issues. Sometimes I like to rotate my arms, right? Do what works for you. And you'll notice sometimes as you do this, right, as you move the upper body, sometimes the lower body starts to open. One more breath. And then from here, keep the waist, keep the same length. Up. And then the whole left side of the body turns with that hand. Plant. Plank without doing much of a fuss. Vinyasa. Or skip it. Chin. Press your hands. Hike it up. And then walk your hands and feet together. Roll it up. And then again, resetting. Again, I'm going to do that same flirtation. One side. One side. One side. Side. And then there's a little internal rotation. And then I'm going to externally rotate. Think a good rule of thumb. I'll show you my hips. I want to lift this hip and drop that one. And I turn my foot in slightly. Yoga and Kung Fu have similar origin stories. It's hard to know which one came first. But if you can do this in Kung Fu, and then yet somewhere in your yoga litany, someone said your chakras get all messed up and fucked up because you turned your knee in, I just don't believe it, right? So do what works for you. Take your time. See, where do you feel the best? Where do you feel that support? And then pull the thighs into the hip socketry. See, so there's like a groove. I'm not flat. There's a groove. So that means that I have those hip points. Again, I interlace, squeeze my shoulder blades, reach. You can stay still. You can move so long as it's not fidgeting, right? Again, watch the movie. Don't mindlessly scroll on Instagram. And feel your feet, right? Feel your feet. It's like your feet are breathing the floor. And now think of the waistline. I'm reaching up. And then what happens? My right arm moves my right side. Nothing else has to change. Left foot comes back. Vinyasa. Down dog. Bend your knees. Take a few cat-cows. Good. And from here, I'm going to take my right leg back behind me. Right? Keep pulling that hip into your body though, right? The thigh pulls into your body. I'm going to take my left hand and thread it through. Press into your left shin. Lift your right leg up. Open the thigh at the hip, not the hip. Open the thigh at the hip, right? Rotate it so that the big toe side of your foot is facing down to the floor. Bring your leg as far forward as you can. And then if you can, bring your hand to your foot, hold that, and then reach your hip back. If you have long legs and a short torso, that's not going to happen for you, right? Maybe you're just here. Steve's blocking my view. Steve, come here. You ready? Yeah. One more breath. Good. To come out first, if you have the lock, remove your hand from the foot, lift your leg straight up, reach it back, and then tuck your toes, hands down, downward dog. Pedal, pedal, pedal. If you want to move through Vinyasa, feel free. Otherwise, we'll meet in our quadruped position. And then from there, other side. So my left leg comes back. I'm pulling my left thigh into my hip. My right arm threads through. I'm gonna lift my left leg, press my right shin down, open the leg, right? So I'm rotating externally, bringing it forward. For me, I have the mobility. Actually, it's more that my torso is exceptionally long. So I can reach, I can get my foot, and then I'm gonna reach my hips back. So I'm starting to open through the groin, through the insertion of the psoas, which inserts right at the lesser trochanter. Really give it a stretch. I'm pulling my tummy in. Shoulders down, neck is long. Good rule of thumb is if you can take a nice deep breath in, then you're probably, in a good position. Short and rapid, shallow breaths, not so much ideal. And then I'm gonna come back. Up. And up. And then I'm gonna bring myself back to table. Rotate onto my back. And I'm gonna get my who's my strap or my sweatshirt, whatever. And I'm gonna move into some Navasana, like Navasana Vinyasa. So I start on my back, arms back, feet forward, right? And square it up. So feel that you're pulling your thighs into your hips, not at the cost of anything, just that sensation of connection into the hip socketry. My arms come over the chest, not over the shoulder line. Inhale. I'm gonna start to pull my thighs deeper towards my low belly to bend my knees. I'm gonna come up and bring myself into Ardha Navasana, right? So bend knees. Now from here, I'm gonna extend my legs, reach my arms, ooh, rebend, lower, and reach. So it's always interesting trying to find the right, where will I make the most space for myself? So let's try that again. Arms over chest, you start to pull the thighs, that bends the knees, and then lift, thighs back, arms forward, extend legs, reach arms back, bend, pull, and then lower down. Right, and try that a couple times. And don't, if you can't extend, here's a little helpful hint. If you can't extend, right, the legs, maybe your architecture is such that your legs really long, if you extend it hurts. Take your strap onto your feet instead. Keep the bend and use that to lift your chest. There's always ways to make it work, right? Then you take it off and then you lower down, right? If you want to come up into regular Navasana, just from the get, it's almost like a teaser 3, right? We used to come up. You can do that, right? I don't find it as pleasurable. It's not to say it's not right. So wherever you are in that movement pattern, right, pick your passion. And then do one more, and just pay attention to the glitches. And pay attention to what happens easy. What are the things you like to slow down for? And then the things you innately are like, oh, let's just kind of skip through that part, right? Because it's usually the skip through parts that we really need to work on. Or we don't need to do anything, but we can work on. Good. And then release. Take your left knee into the chest. And I'm going to roll to the right. And then I'm going to take it into my half happy baby, into my cheerleader stretch. So I pull my knee in. I rotate to the right. I bring it back through center, grab hold of my foot, half happy baby, extend the leg, cheerleader stretch. Give me a Y. Give me an O. Give me a G. I'm just moving back and forth. Buddy? Oh, thank you. Thank you for my kisses. Oh, I love you, Steve. Every single time, if you have dogs, as Beth knows, the minute you come onto your yoga mat, it's just fair game. As far as the dogs are concerned, it's time for plays and cuddles and lots of licks. Last time, and then release. Gosh, and it just feels like that leg, that side of my body just had a massage. Let's take a moment, notice what you notice between the two sides. I like to think of it sometimes like whereas my tighter side, the right side, is more like a constellation, right? Perforations between the points of contact. My left side feels like someone's just connected all the dots, right? I just feel much more a sense of ease and release and fluidity. So let's make that so for the right side. Right knee to chest. Keep the right knee in, hip compression. Now we rotate to the left. Bring it back. Are you looking at me because you're just hungry? And then find your half happy baby. Cheerleader stretch. Bend your knee. Take your twist. And then move through that. Okay. And you can linger where you want to linger. You can hasten where you want to hasten. As long as we're feeling ourselves. And it's so important. Yoga and Pilates, any movement anything sensual, right? Eating, self-massage, getting a massage. It just gives us this time to pay attention, to drop in to our sensory selves, and then notice and pay attention to the nuances of existence, right? Rather than the harsh realities of taxes and bills. Like, that's boring. That's always going to be there. But this twist isn't. And one more time. And then let it long. And we'll end if you have your roller. If you want to end here, you can just end here because it hopefully feels lovely. But if you have your roller, your foam roller, go ahead and get that. So I know Karen has hers. And just for, because it's cold. I mean, we're in California. It ain't Houston. It's not Dallas. It's still chilly, right? And it's still February. So this is going to help us open the front of the body. So I'm going to roll side to side. And again, I want to iron out the little knots. And you'll feel things kind of push aside. You'll feel those crunchies, that fibrousness. And now I'm going to keep my back on it. I'm going to let my head roll to one side. And I'm going to press it into the roller. So push the back of the head into the roller to keep the neck nice and stable. And then release the other side. Getting the stretch through my left side of the neck this time. Press the head into the roller and pause. Options, keep your feet wide and just release here. Option 2, cross your legs, let the cross of the legs pull the inner thigh. Option 3, soles of feet together, knees apart. So just feel for that. I wouldn't have my legs long because that will pull into my lower back and that can set us up for dis-ease and feeling. But if you like that, go for it. I just didn't mention it because of that. So whatever option you took, right? Obviously, if you're on the floor, balance is an issue. If you're on your roller, right, you might feel that for the first few moments, the first few breaths, it becomes a little touchy. But that the longer you stay in that position, the easier it is, or the easier it becomes to stay balanced. And when you're breathing, stretch the front of the body, right? Stretch the sides of the neck, stretch through the groin. And then when you're ready, roll all the way off your roller. Just let it slide out from underneath you. And then take a moment and feel your back body as it starts to, almost feels like I'm being like melded, right? Like the lava off of Mount Vesuvius, just molding into the floor, right? Into the terra.